Yeah, it's, she
Testing. Testing, okay.
We're about to begin the special council meeting. I have a letter from the president of the council, November 17th, 2022, Laura W. Johnson, clerk of council, New Orleans City Council, 1300 Perdido Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70112. Dear Madam Clerk, pursuant to my authority in section 3-1075 of the Home Rule Charter of the City of New Orleans, there will be a special council meeting on Tuesday, November 29th, 2022 at 11:30 a.m. The meeting will be dedicated to matters concerning the discussion and potential action relative to an appeal hearing per the Louisiana Revised Statute 40-537B1 made at the request of Ms. Sharon Jasper concerning her removal as a member of the Hanover Board of Commissioners and any other matters that may properly come before the council. Please make the necessary arrangements to have this special meeting cablecast live on the government access television channel and tape for recasting in the future. Sincerely, Helena Moreno, City Council, New Orleans City Council President. Roll call, Councilmember Thomas, Councilmember Green.
Here.
Councilmember Morel, Councilmember Moreno,
Present.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember King, Councilmember Jeruso.
Here.
We have 6 members. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a few opening statements to make so that everyone understands the rules of today's proceeding. So we have convened the special city council meeting to hear the appeal of Ms. Sharon Jasper regarding her removal by the mayor from the Housing Authority of New Orleans Board of Commissioners. A local housing authority commissioner who is removed from office has the right under state law to appeal his or her removal within 10 days. A timely appeal must be heard by the local governing authority. Last month, Mayor LaToya Cantrell ordered that Sharon Jasper be removed from the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of New Orleans, Hanover. Ms. Jasper timely appealed that action to the City Council, which serves as the governing authority for Orleans Parish. Subsequent to the initial order, the mayor sent a second letter explaining the reason for the removal, which Ms. Jasper promptly informed the council she wanted this to considered at this appeal hearing. State law requires the council to provide her a public hearing and consider her appeal. A copy of Ms. Jasper's appeal and letters are enclosed in a packet to all council members. In accordance with state law, the matter has been docketed for a hearing at today's special city council meeting. The council's role today is to determine if under state law, the removal was proper. State law requires the mayor to send Ms. Jasper a written notice setting forth the specific legal grounds for her removal. The mayor does not have an unqualified right under state law to remove a Hano commissioner. Louisiana law permits the removal of a commissioner in only 3 circumstances. One being neglect of duty. Neglect of duty means a failure to do what is required of a Hano commissioner. 2, misconduct in office. Misconduct in office is closely related to neglect of duty, but involves a direct violation of a governing legal standard. 3, the third legal reason for removal under state law is a conviction of any felony. To be clear, someone's political considerations or a mere desire to reshape the board or board policies are not allowable reasons for the removal of a commissioner under state law. If the council does not receive evidence of at least one of the foregoing grounds, it should grant the appeal and reinstate Ms. Jasper. On the other hand, if the mayor can offer evidence fairly establishing one of the grounds set forth in this section of law and demonstrate that proper notice was given, the appeal should not be granted. The meeting procedures for today will be as followed. Since state law does not prescribe how an appeal hearing must be conducted, and council rules do not specifically contemplate a hearing of this type, accordingly, myself as the council president, as the presiding officer, may delineate the manner in which the hearing is to be conducted. In collaboration with our executive council, I've determined with him that the hearing will be conducted in this manner. 1, the appellant or her attorney will have 10 minutes at the outset of the hearing to state the grounds for appeal and to present any relevant documentary evidence for the record.
Yeah.
2, the mayor or a representative will have 15 minutes to present a response and to present any relevant documentary evidence for the record. Then the appellant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal. After that, comments from the individual council members will follow. Then public comment, and that will be subject to the ordinary public comment rules of 2 minutes per person. And then at the conclusion, there will be either a motion to grant the appeal overturning the removal or deny the appeal sustaining the removal, or a motion to defer if council members determine additional information is necessary. Finally, just for clarification purposes, this proceeding is not a judicial proceeding, nor does it constitute an adjudication under the State Administrative Procedures Act. The council is not bound by the Code of Civil Procedure, rules of appellate procedure, code of evidence, or any other rules that customarily apply to judicial proceedings. The only requirement is that the parties receive notice and a fair opportunity to be heard. So with that, if both parties can please come to the table. And we will begin with representatives with Ms. Jasper.
Madam Chair, I don't know how long the proceedings will be, but I have a hard 12:30 appointment with someone from the film industry. If I go and come back, I'll do that if we're not concluded by then.
Okay.
All right.
Paul, can you pull up another chair on the, so everyone has an opportunity to sit?
No, I need to say
Ms. Jasper, please introduce who you have with you, and then I'll have the other folks at the table introduce themselves.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Introduce who you have with you, And then I will have the other folks who are at the table introduce themselves as well.
Kawana Jasper, Vice President of the newly reinstated Section 8 Board, and W.C. Johnson, organizer of Community United for Change.
And and last. Did you do all three? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I misheard.
I'm sorry.
No problem. If you all could introduce yourselves.
Yvette Hester, the Executive Director for the Housing Authority of New Orleans.
Diane Alexander, General Counsel for the Housing Authority of New Orleans.
Carol Johnson, the President of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of New Orleans.
Okay, I appreciate you all being here, but Hano is not a party to this. The other party is the mayor's office. So that's who will be presenting. You're
Council President, if it would, if you guys would allow, the mayor's office would like to cede our time to the Housing Authority of New Orleans.
So there is no seating of time. It is up to the mayor's office to present their case. You can cede, no seating, but you can allow for members of the Hano board or the director, whoever, to have public comment, but it is up to the mayor to present her case as to why Ms. Jasper was removed or a member of her office.
So I understand that, but given the circumstances in which this was presented, I think it's in the best interest of all parties that the Housing Authority be the ones allowed to speak on because they were present.
And I get that, but once again, and I'll allow for other council members to comment, but including some of the lawyers who are here, but it is not Hano who is the party. It is the mayor or her office that is the party. And it is up to the mayor, and I've got the city attorney's office here too, who is to demonstrate why this removal was correct, or what evidence you have that this removal was correct. It is for you to present.
So if it was possible, can we get an opinion from the city attorney's office?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Elizabeth Robbins. I'm here on behalf of Ashley Spears from the City Attorney's Office. I've reviewed Adam Swinsick's memorandum on this, and I agree in this case as to the designation of the parties as you just recited.
So, Mr. Jabari, do you want to come up and present the case? Because you could be the representative being part of the mayor's office, but Hano is not the party.
I understand that, but given the circumstances, I mean, could they then join me in presenting the case?
I mean, if I may opine, I think the challenge here is that this is not a traditional procedure that is governed by the rules of evidence and the like. That being said, the statute is very specific as to who can represent it. If you would like a Hano person to sit next to you and give you information as you articulated it, that could be a compromise, but they cannot present the case for you based upon the interpretation of the statute. So someone from the mayor's office, Hano, you could have Hano officials, sort of like, I guess, paralegals, next to you, giving you information and points you want to make, but a mayor's representative has to be the one to present the case based upon the memorandum we have in front of us.
I mean, I haven't seen a memorandum, so
Well,
Well, are you prepared to present the case?
I mean, given the circumstances, I would rather can we get at least a 15-minute recess so I can discuss this further with the,
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll just say this. I just think it's disappointing that you all didn't come prepared, ready to do
So
this.
I would, Council President, I would actually defer or differ on that, because it was our understanding that Hano could present the case.
No, actually, I know for a fact that it wasn't, because we had corresponded with them via email that they were not the party.
So I was not privy to that email. I don't know who from the mayor's office you put on.
So there were communications that went directly to the mayor, and that was the communication of the mayor. And the mayor responded. This was, we'll get you that email as well. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. It's the mayor's office is the party, so. I mean, I just think that this is already a mess. So look. You have take 5 minutes to meet with them. It's 12:01, at 12:06.
Well, just, excuse me, just to interject, the meeting procedure is for the appellant, Ms. Jasper, to make her case first. If you would like to take that time.
Oh,
to
that's
go
a good
find- to
idea.
Go find someone to come and make the counter argument.
Yep.
We could keep this meeting on track.
No, I think
because
that's good.
They
Let's
have
do
the
that.
time to do that.
Let's do that. No, thank you, Vice President Morale. I appreciate that. All right, why don't you go, get yourself prepared, and Ms. Jasper, you can begin, your presentation.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear you, ma'am.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I was talking and listening. I'm sorry.
When you're prepared, you can begin your presentation.
So everyone is here?
Mr. Jabari, right there is with the mayor's office. He will be presenting on the mayor's
He
side,
is here. He don't have to leave.
Well,
right there.
Ms. Jasper, just so you're aware, what has occurred right now is that there was a fundamental misunderstanding on the mayor's side as who was supposed to represent her in her case. We're going to stay on track and have you present your case.
Mhm.
They're going to huddle and figure out who's going to come and do the response. But that does not affect you moving forward on your case. They have to go sort that out. But you take your time, you present what you have to present, and when they show up and figure out how they're gonna come together and do their thing, they can do their thing in response. But we're here to hear from you right now.
Okay, thank you. Wes, you want to?
Yeah, as per Mrs. Jasper's request, I'm going to read her statement for her. The appeal from termination of the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority of New Orleans. In accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 4537 A1 and B1 and 2, sets forth the process by which a commissioner may be removed, which includes but not limited to the process of notification, the requirements from which termination is appropriate, and the right to appeal. Facts in support of Commissioner Sharon Jasper. Commissioner Jasper was never served with a formal notice of termination as outlined in Revised Statute 4537. Ms. Jasper was never served with detailed reasons why she was being terminated. This is true for the October 26, 2020 letter, as well as the November 17, 2022 termination letter. On the first termination letter, Ms. Jasper was only notified by word of mouth in a carbon copy, a CC of an email directed to Mayor LaToya Cantrell from Valerie D. Bolden, with CCs going to several staff members on October the 26th, 2022, and marked urgent in relationship to the reference for action email addressed to CEO Yvette Hester of the Housing Authority of New Orleans, HANO, as it is known. The removal letter was an inter-office memo never addressed to Mrs. Jasper. Copies of this email is being offered as Exhibit A. This email refers to a draft of an unsigned letter or memo emailed to Miss Yvette Hester, Executive Director of the Housing Authority of New Orleans, entitled Housing Authority of New Orleans Commissioner Removal. The letter purports to remove Ms. Jasper by the Mayor LaToya Cantrell, but isn't signed by the mayor. In addition, there are no indications that this letter was ever served to Ms. Jasper and has no details as to the reasons for the termination. On the second letter of termination dated November the 22nd, 2022, the mayor just states the reason for termination were neglect of duty and misconduct. Neither charge was sustained by any particulars. Claims without information, including but not limited to place, date, time, people involved, and evidence in support of the claims are legally not recognized in any process where adjudication lays in the balance. The letter of November 17th, 2022 was sent by Acting Director Valerie D. Bolden of Boards and Commissions for the City of New Orleans and forwarded as an email to Ms. Sharon Jasper, informing Ms. Jasper that she was correct, that the letter needed to cite a reason. Ms. Bolden continued by alerting Ms. Jasper that an updated letter from the mayor of New Orleans was attached. The email and letter are presented as Exhibit B. The updated letter cited Louisiana RS 4537A1 due to neglect and misconduct as reasons for Ms. Jasper's termination. The email cited no further evidence of neglect or misconduct. The letter was signed by the mayor of New Orleans. According to RS 4537, Louisiana law dictates the proper service and detailed grounds for such termination. Neither letter of termination yielded any evidence for claims cited by the mayor or any other party concerning the termination of Ms. Jasper. Conclusion. The termination of Ms. Jasper is in opposition to revised statute 4537. Ms. Jasper was bullied out of her position as board member for the Housing Authority of New Orleans as an entitled to reinstatement as Board of Commissioners through hearsay actions taken by Ms. Yvette Hester, CEO of the Housing Authority of New Orleans, Ms. Carol Johnson, President of the Board of Commissioners for Hano, and the Mayor of New Orleans. Ms. Jasper was illegally forced off the Board of Commission and denied her office of tenant advocacy as the elected president of the Resident Council for Section 8 on the first floor of Hano's administrative office building. The termination should not be upheld on the grounds that it was an illegal act, and on its face, the termination is without merit as well as due process. In consideration of the updated letter of November 17th, 2022, proclaiming a remedy to the improper termination letter of October 26, 2022, it also failed to provide any evidence of the charges claimed by the mayor, the president of the Board of Commissioners, and the Hano administration. It becomes apparent that the parties trying to remove Ms. Jasper are not familiar with the policies and laws covering municipalities receiving resources from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, an agency of the federal government. Title 24 of the United States Code of Law repeatedly mandates the role of resident advisory board and resident councils. These laws also cover the City of New Orleans, the Hano administration, and the Board of Commissioners. These laws are intended to protect and encourage the residents of public housing to be involved in all areas that affect their lives as residents of public housing. Ms. Sharon Jasper's intent activities, and conduct in her official capacity of President of Resident Council for Section 8 and her position as member of the Board of Commissioners are all in line with breathing life into the intent and purpose of the laws and resources provided by the federal government of the taxpayer's dollar. Ms. Sharon Jasper should be allowed to continue her appointment to the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority of New Orleans and to retain her Section 8 office within Housing Authority building. Ms. Jasper is duly elected president of the Section 8 Residence Council and was occupying an office in the Executive Office Building of the Housing Authority of New Orleans, which gave Section 8 residents an established location to seek out assistance for residential issues. According to 42 USC 143.7D, 143.7G, and 143.7R, as well as 3535D and 59 FR 43636, referred to as tenant participation and tenant opportunities in public housing. Subpart B addresses the responsibilities of the Public Housing Authority to provide resident council boards with assistance in delivering aid and cooperation with tenant services. In the spirit of federal assistance, Ms. Jasper's petition to the City Council of New Orleans as this appointing authority to rescind the determination from the Board of Commissioners by Mayor of New Orleans and to establish the Section 8 office located at the Housing Authority Executive Office Building at 4100 Touro Street, New Orleans. Signed by the appellant, Sharon Jasper, President of Resident Council, Section 8.
Any additional comments on your side for opening?
I think. Yes.
You might just want to rotate seats because I think,
Yeah,
yeah, you might just want to swap seats just so you can get closer to the mic. That way we don't have to.
thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Kawana Jasper. I'm the Vice President of the newly reinstated Section 8 Council Board. I would just like to say that there's really no evidence that Ms. Jasper had misconducted herself during that Board of Commissioners meeting, as well as the city not being prepared, confirms that the termination letter was just a trumped up act. There was no such thing. There was a very productive meeting at that particular Board of Commissioners meeting. Actually, that meeting has been more successful than any other meeting since the pandemic. I feel it's a disrespect to the people of the city of New Orleans that Mayor Cantrell could not be here. She should have been here since this termination letter come from her. She should have been here herself to present that case. There's no evidence, like I said before, that handle any Board of Commissioner, as well as Mayor Cantrell, who wasn't even present at that meeting. It's a lot of hearsay. just to bogusly have Ms. Jasper removed because she's very active within her community and surrounding communities to help assist residents that have daily issues that are not being successfully addressed by Hano staff and Yvette Hester, CEO, Executive Director of the Housing Authority of New Orleans. With all due respect, I feel that the termination should be overturned and given in favor of Ms. Jasper. Let her retain her seat as Senate participation for the Board of Commissioners of New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you. The clock, hang on one second. The clocks aren't working. Where am I on time?
The manual.
The monitors aren't. Where? 13 minutes? Okay. So you're over your 10 minutes. I'll allow you for a few additional minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get this done. Bear with me. Good morning, City Council. Good morning, City Council members. I'm here to speak in behalf of the residents of the city that need and depend on decent, affordable housing. I, Sharon Jasper, a housing advocate for over 17 years and president of the newly reinstated Section 8 Board of the Louisiana Secretary of State. It is time we stop pretending as leaders to face the corruption and struggle the residents of this city is going through. Don't you believe that don't you believe that the Housing Authority of New Orleans have made the residents of this city feel safe, secure, living in decent housing? The conditions of the development and communities the residents are living in is worse than I have ever seen in my life. And any who try to tell you different is lying. City Council, take a look for yourself. Myself and residents have pictures and videos of the houses and conditions they are living in. Children are taken sick because of the mold and mildew they are living in. Adults with underlying conditions are affected with their health. The residents are intimidated by the management of these developments, afraid to speak out. Residents have lost their vouchers because they couldn't find decent, affordable housing in time, no matter how long they look. Don't be fooled by the smile on our leaders' face, saying everything is going along good and safe for the people when you need to see for yourself. It is time the leadership of this city show more concern about the needs and lives of the residents of this city and allow them to have a voice about where and how they live. We need the support of the elected leaders of this city to do and say more about the living conditions of the residents of New Orleans. The executive director, Ms. Yvette Hester, the president of the Board of Commissioners, Carol Johnson, shows no respect what the residents going through. Mayor Latoya Cantrell don't know the half of what is going on with Hano. It is time the people in this city be treated like human beings, not refugees. They are here and our ancestors helped build this city. Don't you know, we have people who work in City Hall and CEOs, doctors, lawyers, educators, people from all walks of life had lived in public housing. Some of them do, and some of us don't forget where we come from. Affordable housing is a starting point to get where we need to be in life. A lot of our parents were community-involved people. The best of the best have come from the public housing. Give our residents a chance. Reach out and help them instead of taking away from them. Show our children we care, love, and respect them. Stop talking about it. We need to do something about it. P.S. Sharon Jasper, yes, it is a passion in my heart to reach out and find solutions for people instead of watching families be destroyed by the neglect of the leaders of this city. I just pray and that you understand this haven't been an easy task for me to live in this city and see what the people are going through. You don't know, I've been in there. And I've been told I've overstepped my boundaries. When I get off, when I leave and go to different developments and look at the houses and conditions the people are living in, the management of these apartments and housing, it's a disgrace. We need your support. We need our people that's sitting on the boards to show more concern and consideration and get involved. And one thing I do encourage them now and inform them that what they didn't know, every last Tuesday of the month, they have Board of Commissioners have public meetings that they don't know about, but they're beginning to know, because I tell them, if you're not satisfied with what you are, when you go to the housing authority, call them, they're not answering, returning calls, then come to the meeting, meet with the board. The public is invited. It's time for a change. Please, we elected you all. We listen to you all, and we depend on you all to support us and help us. We are registered voters and this taxpayers, and this is what we are looking for today. I'm not against the people. I'm here to work with the people, City Hall, anybody I can for the people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker. And come on up to present the mayor's case, please.
Good afternoon, council members. Today I want to speak about some of the incidents that have occurred previously during meetings of the Housing Authority of New Orleans. No employee or board members should be subjected to violence, threats, or the threat of violence, insults, or fearing for their job. But what the board and staff members of Hano faced on October 25th at this board meeting was reprehensible. The Hano board made the recommendation to the mayor for Ms. Jasper to be removed because of her willful neglect of duty and her willful misconduct that coincided on October 25th. There were several months of antics, one of which was a request of Hano to provide upwards of $30,000 in resources for activities in which Hano deferred and offered to purchase supplies, equipment, but unfortunately, Ms. Jasper rejected. So today I come on behalf of the mayor to stand in support for the recommendation made by the president of the Hano Board of Commissioners and their fellow commissioners. As we know, the Housing Authority provides housing assistance to over 22,000 families in the city of New Orleans. They are one of the largest one of the largest affordable housing providers in the city and state. The Housing Authority owns and manages 2 properties, the Fisher in Florida, and 85 scattered sites. The rest of the portfolio, roughly 4,800 units, are third-party managed. Hano provides oversight over the contracts and manage these properties that the third parties manage. But however, on the events that took place on October 25th were beyond any civil discourse. I'm here to tell you about what really occurred based on the staff's observations and their experiences and statements, as well as, what was seen on video. And at the appropriate time, I would like to provide this video to not only the council members, but the public of what occurred on the 25th. Can I would like to provide that information right now if it's possible.
Did you want to provide more information or the video first?
The video.
Video
first.
ready?
Yeah. Yeah. The video.
We provided it.
And how long is it?
It's 2 hours long.
Do you know where?
No,
in the spot?
we have to look at it in its entirety, actually. So we have.
Mr. Walker, how long is it?
It's the full video, but I'm gonna try and get it down to the snippet to where some of the
Why don't you continue with your presentation and somebody can find a snippet that you want to use and we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, let's change.
So what occurred on October 25th, provided, oh, excuse me. What occurred on October 25th was a disruption to what should have been a normal routine meeting. In statements provided both verbally and in writing, staff members said that they heard members of the public hurling racial insults, as well as making comments like "sickling" or "go get him, Miss Jasper." Some members heard in the audience saying that this was a fiasco and it was orchestrated by Mrs. Jasper, or that they were misled to believe that this was a Columbia Park meeting. Some members of the audience stood to intimidate and show intimidating tactics by pointing out staff or saying how they can find where people live. At the end of the meeting, one board member spoke out regarding intimidation tactics and racial comments. The statement also showed how at each meeting, which had been escalated by Ms. Jasper, she would berate staff members, board members, and recklessly hurl unsupported statements like "nothing gets done" or "there is financial mismanagement at Hano." You should also know what was striking in the staff's comments was that Ms. Jasper refused to work with staff when she was made aware of any type of housing issue. Hano has open lines of communication with Ms. Jasper and established monthly meetings with Ms. Jasper so that Hano could address them. Her comments to staff was, "You need to find out on your own." So
Hang on.
Mr. Batiste, you gotta let him present so we can keep the meeting going forward. We hear you, but
And by the way, Ms. Jasper receives annual audits and monthly financials. It is odd that someone that's on the board receiving documents has these concerns and never asks questions of any of these until she is removed from the board. For the record, the Housing Authority has received clean audits for the past 7 years and has strict financial management. Hano staff who were present at the board meeting work very hard and diligently to serve the public. And yes, they do get paid. And while everything is not perfect and we expect criticism, when we fail to, we expect criticism, but we strive to continue to serve the residents and constituents of New Orleans. But to be put in a position in which you have to come into an environment of fear or being afraid of retaliation at the hands of Ms. Jasper is one of the significant reasons as to why she was removed.
Are you still looking for the video?
Yeah, those were the
Those are
primary
your comments?
comments. I just wanted to,
Yep. I've got some questions too. All right, so looking at the state law, it says that if there's going to be a commissioner removed, that that there should be a notice of removal sent to that commissioner. Tell me about the notices of removal sent to the commissioner. Let's start with this email that I have as part of the exhibits. It appears to be a letter to Ms. Hester, an email. Tell me about that email from the mayor, and then tell me about the subsequent letter as well. And that's to Mr. Walker. And just so the public understands, the overall procedures as to how the removal occurred are very important, because if any of those were not correct, then that means we have to rule in a certain way. The law is very clear. So Mr. Walker, tell me about the.
so there was a letter sent to Ms. Jasper on October 26th. There was a technical issue, so a second letter was
Let me
sent.
stop you. How was the communication sent? You said a letter. Was it mailed? Was it emailed? Explain to me.
Email
And who was it emailed to?
directly to Ms. Jasper,
Who was it addressed to?
Ms. Jasper.
The information that I have too was that there was a letter sent to Ms. Hester.
So the mayor did send a letter to Ms. Hester indicating that Ms. Jasper was removed. I don't recall currently the date of that letter.
So I want to make sure that you're looking at this correspondence. Do you have the correspondence before you?
I do not presently have it before me.
Because the communication is to Ms. Hester and not to Ms. Jasper. So I'm just wondering, when did Ms. Jasper get a notice of removal? I see Ms. Hester was notified of the removal, but when was Ms. Jasper? Procedure is incredibly important here.
They've got it. No, they've got the second.
Okay.
They don't seem to want it.
So the November 17th letter was addressed to Ms. Jasper.
So October 26th was only a letter to Ms. Hester. But you're telling me that Ms. Jasper wasn't notified until when?
I have before me a letter dated November 17th.
And how was that letter sent to Ms. Jasper?
It was emailed.
That letter was emailed to Ms. Jasper. Explain to me what the letter reads.
It speaks about removing Ms. Jasper from the Housing Authority of New Orleans, and the reasoning because of due to neglect of duty and misconduct in office.
And in this letter, does it explain the instances of neglect of duty or misconduct in office?
Council President, it does not, but as indicated in state statute, there's no requirement of such. It just needs to state that due to neglect of duty and misconduct in office.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Council Vice President.
Well, first, I do want to point out, just for purpose of the timeline, that, and correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, you okay? She's good, shoe loose, but she's down. She's good. Let's go. All right, let me start over my questions. All right, first up, and please correct me if my timeline is incorrect. The letter sent to Ms. Jasper on November 17th was after she requested the appeal and council hearing, correct?
Yes.
So I'm gonna have another member of the mayor's team come up, Valerie Bolden, our the commission.
I'm gonna lean. Is that okay, Council?
We'll get you a chair.
We'll get you a chair.
Okay.
I don't want anybody else falling down.
Do you need me to repeat the question for you, G?
No, sir. I got you. So the timeline of the sending of letters, is this correct?
Specifically, the first letter that
Okay.
Ms. Jasper received addressed to her,
Okay,
according to the documents we have, was sent on November 17th. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay, and my question was, for timeline purposes,
Mhm.
the first letter that Miss Jasper received that was addressed to her was after she'd already requested the appeal to the council, correct?
That's accurate as well.
Okay. And I think this is the reason why I'm asking these things along the timeline is there are several considerations in the law that we have to have. And at the time that Miss Jasper requested the council hearing, because she had not been given a proper notice, she had not only not been given proper notice, she had actually been giving no direct notice,
Right.
which is problematic. What I will add, and I need to pull up, give me 1 second because I will find it. I guess, and this could be a difference in interpretation. In my experience, and I have some experience with state statutes, you may know, that when it says that you have to provide specific legal grounds, that is typically not interpreted just to cite the statute. It's to cite how someone violated the statute. Like, for example, if someone, and this is not a typical legal proceeding, if someone is accused of theft, like, and they go, you stole something, a categorical important question you have to address is what was stolen. It's not enough to go, you stole. The problem that I have in my interpretation of the statute and the notice that was sent on the 17th is it is not sufficient to say neglect of duty and misconduct in office without citing what the neglect of duty or what the misconduct in office was. Ms. Bodwin, Ms. Bodwin, did anyone in the city attorney's office create this letter?
Yes, so the city attorney's office did review that letter, as did the rest of the mayor's staff.
Who in the city's attorney's office reviewed this letter?
So we have been corresponding with Hill, I'm sorry, let me get first names, with Kevin Hill and Ashley Spears. Denisha Turner was also copied.
Did they review the letter before you sent it, or did you copy them when you sent it?
So prior to sending it to Ms. Jasper, so I emailed it to her on the 17th and dropped the certified copy in the mail.
That is
today.
very surprising to me because it seems beyond my understanding why the inclusion of an extra sentence or two explaining the basis of those two claims was not added to this letter. Because let me tell you why it fundamentally, as a former criminal defense attorney, this bothers me. These are all steps in a process towards the hearing we have today.
Right.
When you don't say what the neglect of duty or misconduct is, and you know that you're going to a hearing process, you're not giving the appellant the ability to say, well, if you tell me what you think I did, I can produce evidence saying I didn't. If you just tell them it's neglect of duty and misconduct in office, Ms. Jasper, how long have you been on that board?
I'd say three or more years.
3 or more years. That means at what point in that 3 or more years did these occur? And what evidence or witnesses you have to bring to dispute the specific claims? That's my concern here because in my reading of the statute, I would disagree. I don't think it's up to go to cite a statute and go done. You have to provide some context as far as saying on this date, this thing happened, which led to that neglect of duty, because you have to provide the other side the ability to say, if you said on this day this thing happened, they would be able to bring witnesses today specifically to argue that it didn't. So I think materially there's a problem here. Additionally, and this is a question from Mr. Walker, you've said repeatedly the mayor made this removal based upon a recommendation from Hano. You do not include in here a written recommendation of Hano to remove Miss Jasper. Do you have that? Was there a written recommendation from anyone at Hano specifically asking for Miss Jasper's removal? What date was this on? Right now, but I understand we have a letter that was sent today, but I'm saying when Miss Jasper was removed on October 26th, was there a letter transmitted to the mayor's office in advance of her removal requesting her removal? That's the question. Specifically.
Me.
I don't think it's a you question, Ms.
Okay.
Bodwin. I think that's probably a Hano question. I'll have to give an answer to Mr. Walker so you can say it.
Can I answer that question?
I think that the council president's established that you kind of have to go through Mr. Walker. So you can
So
tell him that the answer is and he can present it.
So on October 26th, there was a verbal communication from the the president of the Hano board to the mayor.
Okay, that is a concern. If you're going to go through a process of removing someone from a board, especially for allegations this serious, it's very surprising to me a letter wasn't sent or something in writing as grounds for that removal. And I say that because when you have boards and commissions, and Ms. Bodwin can speak to this, I'm sure, but having a paper trail of how you take people on and off boards is very important, especially before their term is up. And if you're going to take the step to remove someone from a board, especially for allegations this serious, I appreciate the letter that was sent today, but this letter here with the board member signing it should have went on October 26th as the grounds for the removal. You have to look at this in a different light when it's brought up after the thing's been done and a board's ratifying what their appointing authority already did. The last thing I want to say is I'm very concerned. We have a lot of information in here that's redacted. I know this is not a legal proceeding, but when you have evidence being presented and it's testimony basically of what they think happened at a location, if the person's not going to be here, you at least have to know who the person is. And on a lot of these documents, names are redacted. And I understand based upon what y'all are going to show us, there's some concerns regarding retaliation and the like, but it's really hard if you've got someone here saying one thing and you've got people with extensive, narratives that are objecting to it, but all their names are blacked out. It's hard for us as a body to look at that and say, I'm going to give a name that's blacked out equal weight to people that are here. That's just, for me, just telling you if objectively, that's a consideration I'm going to have when I'm reviewing testimony given to me. If a person's here saying one thing and I have blacked out names saying something contradictory, I'm not going to weigh those two things equally. I can't. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Jeruso.
Thank you. To the city, I want to know what are the pieces of evidence you are offering in support of your claim? Sure. What are the pieces of evidence that you are offering in support of your claim? I just want to make sure I have them all.
So the primary one would be the video evidence of what transpired
Okay.
and the statements from the staff.
Okay. All right. And the statements as well. All right. Then I have some legal questions. The first is the email to Ms. Jasper dated November 17th. Does email constitute service under the law?
Wait, what was, I couldn't.
Does email constitute service under the law? In other words,
So that's a, I don't know. That's a very good question. So
I tried.
Sent it, yeah, I sent it, in addition to, like, here's a heads up, the paper version of this is coming to me.
Okay,
And then send it certified mail.
it was sent certified mail,
Yes.
and has that return receipt been
Yes,
returned?
so I have that.
Okay, all right. So I guess that's one of the issues that I had. Number two is, it says in the statute, the appointing authority seeking to remove a commissioner pursuant to paragraph A6 shall send a notice of removal to such commissioner, which notice shall set forth the charges against the commissioner. Is it the city's position that all they have to do is repeat the language in the statute to comply with that? I mean, and let me just be very clear while you're trying to formulate your answer, is it says shall set forth the charges against the commissioner. I see in a letter where it says neglect of duty and misconduct in office, but that doesn't really give me a sense of what it is other than what the categories are. Does that make sense?
No, I understand what you're saying. What I would say in response to that is, the mayor's office met with through via email the city attorney's office to review this. So I would position that question towards them because they are our, legal experts.
And I guess to the city attorney then, is there legal authority for doing it by categorization as opposed to detail, like there is in a complaint?
Well, let me be clear. What the city received initially was the unsigned letter sent via email, which, regardless of whether or not email is sufficient service, there was a response by her on November 3rd requesting to have a hearing. So there was constructive notice. Our response to that initial unsigned letter was that it was statutorily insufficient for the reasons that you've already stated. We further identified that pursuant to the statute, the claims had to be under one of those three grounds or more than one.
Right.
The subsequent letter that went out, I believe that we received that for review after it was sent. But in any event, our position was still that was insufficient.
That was insufficient?
Insufficient for the same reasons that we stated that the initial one was insufficient. Our position was the statute was pretty clear on what had to be said. And so we did not draft and we were not requested for a review or to approve the letter before it was sent.
And
Speaking of the second one,
and again, I'm not trying to belabor this, but I just want to make sure I understand. Simply stating the grounds is insufficient notice to a member of reasons for dismissal. There actually has to be reasons articulated.
simply stating the categories is insufficient.
Okay.
It would have to be the grounds underneath the category
I got
or
it.
details so that the person thereby has notice of what they're responding to.
Thank you very much. And then the last point I would just have too is, as Councilmember Morel said, we got these redacted statements. As an appealing body, I think we can review those in camera. So if you would please get us those as unredacted.
Yes,
I
we
would
can
like
get you the unredacted.
And we will, I mean, at least for myself, I will make the statement that I will not share it with anybody and that it remains part of an attorney-client privilege.
Yes, we can get you the unredacted.
Thank you.
I don't have the machine. So any other council members with questions?
May I ask a question before the video is shown? Is the video going to show Ms. Jasper or is it going to show the audience?
It's gonna show the audience and the atmosphere created based off of some of the comments.
Before we even show the video, I think that as an attorney, but only attorneys can speak to that. So you all have to let me know. that's not going to be sufficient grounds to rule relative to Ms. Jasper. Unless you can show her stoking the audience or encouraging violence or encouraging actions against the staff. All we're going to see is a video that may have a disruptive meeting, which can be controlled by the members of the board. But at the end of the day, I think that that's a fishing expedition that I don't think it's appropriate to show. It may be on video, but if it's not going to show Ms. Jasper's actions, then it's not going to prove neglect of duty and misconduct in office.
Thank you. Thank you, for real. Yeah, Councilman,
I want to
Councilman
follow up with one thing,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna just say that if that's the answer, and based on what we just heard the city attorney say, I will just suggest to you that I will ask the chair to determine what action can even be taken relative to the ruling relative to
Yep.
whether or not Ms. Jasper was properly removed. And if that's not the case, then I call the question that suggests that we don't have grounds to uphold the removal.
No, that is a legitimate question, and I think you're absolutely correct, Councilmember Green. I don't even think we need to get to part two on the potential allegations of neglect of duty and misconduct in office due to the fact that it's been pretty clear that notice was not sufficient and therefore procedurally incorrect. And just due on that particular fact, it does appear that Ms. Jasper would be reinstated onto the board. Now, before we make an official motion on this, we do
Councilman.
have public comment.
No, just following up on my comments.
Sure,
to
go ahead,
you,
Councilmember Thomas.
A moment ago, how do we even get to cause if the process was flawed or the process was violated?
100%.
So, ultimately, I'm not an attorney, but that's the ultimate question. How do we even get there to stating or showing a case if the attorneys are saying that the process to getting here
Yes.
wasn't followed correctly per state statute? That's what our attorney is saying.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. Good point. Okay, let me take public comment. I'm going to be strict on the rules, 2 minutes per person, beginning with Carol Johnson and followed by Diane Alexander. Carol Johnson, you're coming up? Okay. All right, who can be my timekeeper? Paul, can you keep time?
Madam Chair, I have to run to this meeting and come right back, please, but.
Okay,
Okay.
I know, but it's hard for me to see. All right, thank you. Councilman Morrell wants to be timekeeper too. All right, go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
you ready?
2 minutes.
Are we ready now?
We're ready. 2 minutes.
Good evening, honorable council members. I am Carol Johnson. I am the president of Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority of New Orleans. I personally made a telephone call to the mayor of the city of New Orleans to ask for Ms. Jasper to be removed off the board. We have dealt with many issues surrounding Ms. Jasper, as well as her daughter on the board. We have been threatened. Ms. Jasper has consistently exhibited behavior supporting dismissal for neglect of duty and misconduct in office. I personally asked for a recess during the meetings because some of the people in the audience, of course, if you'd have looked at the tape, you would see that, was literally running over to the director based on the previous histories of Ms. Jasper as well as Kawana Jasper. Everything was surrounded around Columbia Park Apartments. During some point in time, Ms. Jasper as well as her daughter was arrested.
We're not talking about.
In regards to an incident at Columbia Park Apartments, and this has been the focus of their issues and their riots on the board surrounding Columbia Park. Kawana Jasper was charged with assault for assaulting the manager there. And their issue has always been trying to remove that particular manager at Columbia Park. As a member of the board of directors, an unpaid commissioner of the board of directors, I
Ms.
fear for
Johnson,
my
that's your time.
safety. I fear for my safety.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Johnson. Diane Alexander, followed by Yvette Hester. 2
I
minutes.
decided I have no public comment.
You have no public comment? Okay. Yvette Hester?
It's a shame. That's a shame. That's a shame.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Hester, 2 minutes.
I'll do my best. Thank you, council. HANO was established by the Louisiana legislature to remedy the shortage of affordable, decent, safe, and sanitary housing for low to moderate income individuals and family. As one of the two appointees, Ms. Sharon Jasper appointment was initially welcomed because of her personal experience as HANO's tenant.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Ma'am, we're having trouble hearing. Ms. Hester.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just start over again. Ms. Jasper is one of two resident appointees, and she provided invaluable experience when she was appointed in July of 2018. As a HANO commissioner, she was charged with 3 fiduciary duties: duty of care, duty of loyalty, duty of obedience. The roles and responsibilities of board members were later reinforced during a Board of Commissioners retreat attended by Ms. Jasper in February of 2019. The board also emphasized the importance of being respectful to both other board members and HANO employees. Unfortunately, it seemed with every board meeting, Ms. Jasper's mission was not to work with her fellow board members, the executive director, and staff, but rather take the opportunity to berate, belittle, and demean the work being done by the agency.
Jasper was representing the people.
It was Ms. Jasper's elevating and escalating pattern of behavior that led the remaining board members by way of the board president to reach out to the mayor and request removal of Sharon Jasper. Rather than help maintain an atmosphere of respect and decorum during the public board meeting, Ms. Jasper routinely invited residents to meetings to express their hostility and their disdain for the agency and its employees. The hostility increased to the point that meetings voted on unproductive and left the staff feeling demoralized and attacked.
This ain't doing your damn job.
The decision to seek the removal of a board member was not an easy decision and was
All right,
reached.
Ms. Hester, that's your time. Thank you.
It's your time.
Ms. Kinlaw, Angela Kinlaw.
All right, out, bro.
President Marino, I do want to say this.
2 minutes is.
Violence should never be tolerated in a situation like this.
She said your 2 minutes.
These folks, even though they get paid, they are not.
The council works.
Okay.
Said your 2 minutes are up.
All right,
Thank you.
Angela Kinlaw, followed by William Webb. Ms. Kinlaw, come on up.
I get put out by the police when I do that. Sit down.
Ms. Kinlaw, are you coming? Sorry, can everybody hear me okay? You're good? Okay. Ms. Kinlaw, followed by William Webb.
Good morning, Ms. Jasper. I'm here today. My name is Angela Kinlaw, and I am a member of the New Orleans People's Assembly. I'm here today to say to Ms. Jasper, thank you
Very much.
for the service that you provide to us and as people in the city of New Orleans.
Thank you. Thank you. Somebody told the
We
truth.
love you.
Here today in the name of solidarity, I want to thank Brother W.C. Johnson for alerting community about the ways in which Ms. Jasper is being entirely disrespected, dismissed. And we as community have the right and the responsibility to stand with you in solidarity, and we will. I want to go on record as just commenting about a few quick things. When it comes to threats, the city of New Orleans has allowed the people in the city to be threatened daily based on the housing conditions that people are living in every day. Ms. Jasper represents speaking up on behalf of the people of the city of New Orleans,
Yes.
particularly when the city of New Orleans has not done that for the people.
Yes.
We talk about respect, but it is the city of New Orleans and the conditions that we're finding in terms of the housing that people have to tolerate every day that is where the real disrespect exists. We talk about hostility, but when people are facing this kind of antagonism on a daily basis, just for speaking up on behalf of people and each other, this is what we face. And so we're here today to say that we're not going to tolerate Ms. Sharon Jasper being disrespected this way. We're going to stand with you and we're going to fight with you, because at the end of the day, people are talking about violence, but this system is violent to the people of the city. And so we are here today to say to you, Ms. Jasper, we stand in solidarity with you and we reject this foolishness. This is a complete waste of everybody's time and energy when you've been doing the work that needs to be done, and we are here to stand with you.
William Webb, followed by George Mahdi. Mr. Webb, 2 minutes.
Yes, good afternoon, board. Thank you for this opportunity. Similar to the business that the city council does each month in terms of your ability to run the business of the city of New Orleans. Similarly, panel board of commissioners is only asking for that same opportunity to do so. Over the past months, it's been increasingly difficult to do that with the heckling, with the threats. We've even had to escort staff to their cars at night for fear of physical retaliation and threats being made. So similar, I mean, you hear, so similar to what we're dealing with, you're just getting a little taste of that amplified at our meetings. So that's all I have to say.
A grown man, you gonna stand there and do that?
All right, George Mahdi, Mr. Mahdi, come on up.
I got to get this thing wrong.
And then followed by Michael Burnside.
Is that your wife there, buddy?
Mr. Mahdi, 2 minutes.
Is that your wife there, buddy?
See, come on, see, this is where it gets out of hand.
Oh, you didn't.
Ma'am, I need to hear him.
All right.
Mr. Mahdi, 2 minutes.
George Mahdi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. We've been observing these government affairs for some time, since Katrina, in fact. And many times, these affairs have been disingenuous. They've lacked transparency, public input, and continual bureaucratic hedging. So we have many questions that need to be answered. We see the emotional responses of the people now because these things are not getting done. You know, and remember that this is a government of the people, not of elites. You know, due process, consent, freedom of speech are still fundamental elements of the democratic process. The recovery plan, the master plan, all that reeks of racial forces that are attempting to regentrify this city by the political insiders, the white real estate interests, leaving the poor Black citizens on the outside, on the margins of society. And that's why we keep having these problems with crime and everything else.
Yes, sir.
This has been going on since Katrina. Ms. Jasper's position was set up. It was created to represent the people that are not able to represent themselves.
And then they punish them
You
for
know,
doing it.
and yes, you know, to accommodate the needs of the people.
Then they
We're not getting accommodated. There's still lack of public housing. Affordable housing. You ended public housing. You put the people on the streets. We had the problems with the homeless and everything else. We want to say this is unacceptable. And if we have to shut down this city, we will. Because we are living this nightmare, not y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Mahdi. Michael Burnside, followed by Kim Ford.
Is somebody? It stays up there. It's a mic, I believe, for the media.
2 minutes, Mr. Burnside.
So, from my point of view, it's hard to defend Hanno. I don't know very much about him. I went to one board meeting pre-COVID at Washington Avenue. I don't know a lot of what they do. I know Valerie. Valerie helped me get something done. There were 60 tires dropped off one night on a vacant lot in my neighborhood. And I will always remember her caring, her compassion, but of all her competence. She helped me get 60 tires removed within 24 hours of when they were dropped off,
That's the problem.
which is amazing in this city.
That's the problem.
So when the city lawyers throw her under the bus, I have to say that I don't much appreciate them giving counter testimony to what she told you. From my point of view, there is a lack of transparency. And one of the things that might be a solution that this council might choose to do in the future is require or request, as the case may be, since Hanno has federal money, that they publicize and video, not just videotape, but actually broadcast live their meetings like you do. That way, people who care can sit at home and watch and pay attention in real time. And I think it's important for transparency that that action at least be conducted into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. Kim Ford, followed by Belden Batiste.
Like they're supposed to do.
You got it. Thank you for the, no, I appreciate the reminder.
Supposed to do that.
I got it.
Some of these comments.
All right, Kim Ford. Hang on. Guys. Hey. Angela, please. Hey. All right, guys. Okay. Angela, please. All right. Angela, please. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cole. Thank you. Ms. Ford. Ms. Ford, 2 minutes.
Everything's gonna be all right, because he couldn't call mine.
Okay, hang on. Let's hear Ms. Ford. Hang on. Angela, hang on. Let's listen to Ms. Ford. Okay. All right.
Supposed to have to say your address.
We'll do it. You're right. Okay. Angela, please.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Trust me.
All right. Ms. Ford, please give us your name and address as well.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kim Ford, and I'm a longtime housing advocate. Matter of fact, I had a job as the Section 8 tenant liaison that I asked for the job after Hurricane Katrina, when I saw so many of our citizens losing their access to safe and decent housing, which is what's supposed to come from the Housing Authority. And I have had to hold not only Ms. Hester, but her predecessors accountable in more ways than I can count. And absolutely, it's long overdue that these things come to the fruition in the light of day before the community, because more community members watch council meetings than ever will be attending Hanno board meetings. And I keep hearing the people here in the background say, yeah, because that's what we get at our meetings. This community is damaged. Hanno has a long reputation, long before these people got here, of harming the Black community, particularly Black women and children. So don't come up here and talk about somebody's history, because need I say that the executive director of the Section 8 unit was living in a Section 8 house. It seems like when the landlords that have the most properties, that get the most money from the access to federal subsidies from HUD, they're the ones who we get these kind of flashbacks from, when people like Ms. Jasper. No, Ms. Jasper was there. And Ms. Jasper is one of many who want to be able to speak for the citizens in our community. She have done what many of us have never been able to do, and that was to get in a board position at Hano. And for Mayor Cantrell to treat Hano like it's her personal ground, the commissioners that sit on that board, no wonder we having such problems in this community with housing. This is a fine example. And guess what? You say what you want to say, baby. But when you done stood in my shoes, because I come from public housing.
That's your time.
My mother was a section housing tenant. Her life was saved when she had access to public housing. She got a job with the housing authority.
Thank you, Ms.
Was able to become a Section 8 tenant, then a homeowner. So let me tell you about what you saw. I know the history. And we got people here talking now. It's not even from here.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. It's your time.
For coming up here and acting like this somebody.
Thank you, Ms. Ford.
Street Ms. Jasper, let me refer today. They're being disrespectful to her. And she is
Ms.
the
Ford, that's
only
your
one.
time.
She is the only one that sits on that boat, but the mayor uses it in her personal playground for her cronies.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. That's your time.
Ms. Jasper, I know before you even got it, baby, you have to be a certain mindset to be an executive director at Hano. But it's hard that needs to be held accountable because.
All right,
HUD
Ms.
is
Ford.
their boss.
That's your time. I gotta keep it going. Come on.
It's their boss.
Mr. Baptiste, you're up next. Come on, Mr. Baptiste.
Been a problem.
All right, Mr. Baptiste, followed by, it looks like Liddell Reed. Riddell Reed.
Good morning, City Council.
Mr. Baptiste.
Good morning, Bell. Good morning, City Council. Belvin, man, Baptiste of the recallers. I'm here today to talk about the harm that they had did to a black woman. Like the mayor talk about a black woman, it's a black woman. And at the end of the day, what this mayor has done, Mayor Latoya Cantrell, we need to get rid of her. Now, y'all handle people. Y'all disrespecting Ms. Jasper. Y'all sitting up there lying on a woman that then fought in the 60s when people died, that then marched with Dr. King, Jerome Smith, the Mama D's and everybody. And y'all gonna come in here and insult this lady when she going to pocket to help kids? Y'all need to be recalled. And Moody coming y'all way too. But look, let's get to the point. Everybody scared to talk about it. You know, Mooney come with the tea. What I want to know, what about Vappy, Snappy, Happy, whatever his name, is a cop, and they didn't do him nothing. He's sitting there as an NOPD. I want one of y'all answer. On the hands of the court, sitting on city time as the police. Did y'all send Vappy a letter? Did y'all send Happy a letter? But they're not gonna send it that because that's the mayor, whatever y'all want to call it. I don't go into people's personal life. But look, Council, what I'm telling y'all, y'all should look at this, make sure Ms. Jasper reinstated, because we got NOPD stealing taxpayers' money. They showed him, Lee Zurich showed him in a Hano meeting why he's supposed to be protecting our city. But nobody don't want to talk about that. And the mayor city attorney right there, Stephen Wonder can see you lying, brother. I want you to know. Stephen Wonder, know you lying, and you're lying on a good woman. You come from a black woman. So why would you lie on Ms. Jasper? It's not right. City Council, today, y'all need to send a message that no retaliation go against nobody in this city. And Vappy needs to be removed immediately because he neglected his duties. When he stole city time.
Conflict of interest, period.
It is a conflict of interest, and I'm about to go sit down, but guess what? They didn't remove Vappy, Snappy, Happy. Tell him Stephen Wonder, what he is, Alvin Einstein, I don't know who he is.
That's your time.
But tell him it's a question. The people want to know, we want to know, when is Vappy going to be removed, or Snappy, Happy, whatever his time. Thank y'all.
Thank you. It looks like Riddell Reed. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Oh, no, you did great. Okay, so hi, I'm Riddell Green. I want to say first, I'm a little nervous about what I'm about to do, but I want you guys, like, y'all all need to understand something. I am an endangered species, and I won't play victim. And I know where my voice belongs. We done played this Hey No Housing Authority entrepreneur game with Hey No too long. Too long. We tired. New Orleans not about to sit down and let y'all continue to gentrify our city the way y'all putting it in play with these Hey No programs. I done went through the steps for these programs. And when I went through the final steps, you know what Hey No said? Oh, you ain't making enough. You know why I ain't making enough? Because we got the city interrupting small businesses by shutting down under the bridge and all of the hustles. So now I'm pushed back more because I can't buy a house in New Orleans. My sister just bought a house, went through the same program, couldn't afford a house in New Orleans, had to go to Arabic. Arabic didn't want it. They discriminated so bad, we had to fight just to get her a house in Arabic. Y'all need to figure it out. We not about to lay down for this shit no more.
All right, Byron Cole, Mr. Cole, come on up. You've got 2 minutes, and then followed, the last card I have is from Laura Armstrong.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say, I see an inherent issue with the lack of respect for the indigenous regarding due process with any type of institutional process in New Orleans, period, especially those affected by this mayoral administration. We pointed that out with this, right? You agree? All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Eugene, all I ever want to do is be respected. Thank you for your input today regarding this. I'm man enough to say that. Appreciate you. Ms. Jasper is being attacked because when there's talk about mold remediation, she doesn't run. When they say, Ms. Jasper, how come everybody go to certain places in the east and certain places across system is allowed that she doesn't sweep it under the rug. She allows them to come and speak to them people. That's what they talk about when they mean threats, right? And so I'll be done. But I do want to say this to my people watching. This is where we have to draw the line. I first met you, you were 5 years old. My mama came to see your daddy. I've been knowing you your whole life too. My mom used to come see your daddy. I met Oliver the first time when I was 5. I'm talking indigenous New Orleans, right? We got to stand up. This is BS. She was put there to give the true pulse of what's happening from our perspective, and she's been punished for doing that. We know what's up with the administration. We know what's up with VAPI. Right? And so I'm asking y'all, please, you know, if you want to be taken seriously, just look at what just happened here. Also, I want to tell my people, this is us right there. Look at the white woman, the sister that got enough sense, that's grounded, she told not to speak. Listen, look at all this weed. Look at what they face. I see natural, I see light, I see natural. You better wake up. This is them, all of them against the indigenous.
I feel that way.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Last person we have is Laura Armstrong. Is Laura still here? All right. Oh, come on. Come on. You got 2 minutes, Miss Armstrong.
Come on, baby.
And then we're going to vote.
I'm speaking in behalf of Miss Jackson.
Okay.
So as long as
Ms.
she was
Jasper?
running, long as she was running the board, people had houses. It wasn't no confusion. Now we got confusion and no houses. We gotta go to legal aid and cry for a resident. This lady go to legal aid and cry for a resident. What's wrong with the world? They can't see? Or we got to suffer because we are what? All colors. I don't understand. And I'm looking for a house. December the 30th, I won't even have a house.
And they down
Miss
bad for
Armstrong.
coming in, building
All right.
out this lady.
We have
been
one-
grassroots for
one-
decades, and
on.
make her like she's gonna come in with a gun. They
Hang on.
scare her.
All right,
Y'all
Mr.
down
Cole.
bad for that.
All right.
We love her. Y'all down
right.
bad for that.
We got it. One online comment, Anita, and then I'll entertain a motion and we'll vote.
This is from Christy Ferdinand. She says, I am a family member of a Hano employee, but I am not speaking on behalf of my family, but of my own will and out of love and concern for my family and the other Hano employees. As a family member of a Hano employee, I witnessed what came after Ms. Jasper's behavior. My family member came home shaking and so scared from the experience that she could not even eat dinner. She told me that she and the other employees were threatened by people Ms. Jasper invited to the meeting.
Mr. Cole, she has to read public comment. Go ahead.
She told me how people kept saying they would make Miss Jasper proud and how they will always show up for Miss Jasper. She said they talk about following employees home or be waiting for them to come into work. She was afraid to go back to work the next day. My family is not police or a firefighter. She should not be afraid to go into work. Please protect my family and the other employees by keeping Miss Jasper off the board. I never want to see someone I love so scared ever again.
But back is still on.
All right, so that completes public comment, both in person and online. With that, I will entertain a motion, by Mr. Green.
Madam
Councilmember
Chair,
Green.
sufficient comments has been made and I appreciate the fact that the public is here and that the public is watching online. As council members, we're sworn to uphold the law, and I find in this particular instance that the law has not been followed. It's important to recognize that our own city attorney has stated that the letter that Ms. Jasper received should have included details that define neglect of duty and also misconduct in office, and those weren't provided. So strictly from the standpoint that I serve the public in a technical matter, but also I recognize and I hope that there will be more communications thereafter. I move that Ms. Jasper be reinstated to the Housing Authority Board.
All right.
Don't second that for me, JP.
Thank you. JP's gonna second it. All right. All right, hang on. Let me call that. Hang on. We got I'm gonna go down the line. Councilmember Jeruso.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris. Aye. Councilmember Moreno, yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Morel and Councilmember Green.
Yes.
All right, 5 yeas, no nays. Ms. Jasper, you are reinstated.
Thank you. Move to adjourn.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Aye, it's unanimous.